did hit their numbers, right? And this final thing is kind of the conclusion of what we've talked about, the California laws and what we've seen other countries kind of put out there. But this one has finally happened for New York. And when I say that, it happens to be that, out of all things, this comes from Auto Week, and it says New York will ban sale of gasoline engine cars by 2035. Almost self-explanatory in this respect of what this means, right? So basically, the New York State has signed a law by Governor Kathy, I can't remember her last name, sets a goal of 100% new passenger cars and truck sales in the state being zero-emission vehicles by 2035. Similar to the executive order that we talked about by the California governor, Mr. Newsom over there. All right. Now, if you want to talk about the Green New Deal and so on and so forth, they're setting targets also for trucks that have to be adapted to by the model year 2045. And the EV sales in New York have only accounted for 2% in 2020. I'm going to talk about that for a minute. The other part of the article goes on to say that, well, they've gone through and they've made impeccable motions to try to include the fact that they know where they are, they know where they need to be by 2035. It says right here, the law as drafted lacks enforcement mechanisms and the concrete steps that the agencies will need in order to take to the phase of sale of zero emission vehicles. Another fact, there's no way any state agencies could go out and get anything done that's proactive. And that's kind of the problem, because right now, this is just pretty much a really good public gesture. And before I hand it over to Corey, one of the things that I want to say is right now in New York State, if it's only 2%, if we went by the rule of two, right? Let's say that the interest in these vehicles doubled, okay, year over year. We're still talking about almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years to get people to the point where they would be buying only 100% EVs. And that means that you would go from 2% to 4% to 8% to 16%. And the very next year, 32%. Those numbers are astronomical, especially for California and New York to be pulling the same thing on both coasts. I don't think there's any way that any of those manufacturers could even get enough electric vehicles in the pipeline to quell these marks to be hit within the time frame that they're talking about. Okay, it's going to be difficult. All right, at the very least, to pull this off in what, just under 14 years. Now, let's just say if you go by gesture of, let's say you only multiply it by, maybe 0.5%. So you're talking about, what is it? We're talking about 3.5%, then we're talking about maybe 5%, then we're talking about 7.5%. Even those numbers are going to be difficult to do if California and New York are on the same page. So what do you think this will do for the marketplace? Because you're talking about East Coast, West Coast going all Green New Deal, and that's not going to leave a lot because other countries are doing the same thing. So the manufacturers, I just don't think, can keep up.
Well, I mean, I think on my end, I'll come at it from a slightly different perspective to say raw materials, right?
Right.
We're going to go in more into this, in some future episodes too, because we want to talk about it as well. But just getting enough of the raw materials to be able to even feasibly do that, if they had everything else in line, right? If everything else was going to fall in line, can they even get that many? Let's say in this case, battery packs. We already know. There's other things that we have a little bit of a shortage right now, dude, like silicone or different types of chips and things. So there's, I don't know, that's a bit of it could be a bit of a problem to do that. And just the next thing in there, James has got one thing in there in the comments too. He says, I wonder how that will affect all the taxis in New York.
Same deal.
Maybe they're gonna have a pass. Maybe not. I don't know how that. I don't know. I mean, what about charging? Because if you're stuck in traffic somewhere in New York and you're in an EV, okay, everything's great. But then if you need to get somewhere and charge, and if they're that all into it, are they going to have maybe charging infrastructure that is like integrated for massive amounts of cars? And then how do you direct traffic in and out of there?
Wait a second. This is even more ridiculous. James asked that question. I did a search. New York City electric taxis. Okay, and guess what came up? This is also from The Verge, and it says New York City votes to block new licenses for electric taxis, snubbing Revel's Tesla plans. Okay, they wanted to put a ride-hail service with 50 Model Ys into service. Now, I don't know the full background of it.
What's the date on that?
This is actually July 23rd, 2021, or June 23rd, 2021. Okay, so there's a little bit more to be said. I mean, look, politics is politics, right? So there's that, but good question, James, but even more murky answer in the fact that even the city itself, the TLC service, would turn around and say we're gonna vote and make a step backwards in climate change, which is kind of ridiculous, right? So look, I guess my stance is you have the material stance. You're concerned about the materials being there. I'm concerned about the legislation, the infrastructure, and what it's going to take to physically produce that amount of vehicles. And the fact that they keep putting these laws out there that are basically like, hey, we're gonna trumpet that this is the change we want to make, but we're not prepared to make the change, right? So the steps that we could put into place that we're gonna have to pass more legislation to put these bodies in place to regulate and so on and so forth. It could take years for those bodies to become up and operational and be at speed to even check that this is going on at a rate that's going to successfully hit that mark. Wishful thinking, but a lot of work to be done. Or I'm a
I don't know.
pessimist.
We'll see. I mean, as we know, anything, people like to change their minds,
lot.
and all the rest of the people like to follow the dollar signs. So
let me ask you this. Let's say we get three quarters the way through this electric revolution, and just what you said is coming true, right? We're starting to see raw materials become harder and harder to get their hands on, and now they realize that if we're going to really get the raw materials to complete the electric revolution, we're going to have to use techniques and other things that are even more invasive towards the environment. What happens then?
well, I won't like to particularly defer to good old Elon, but he's got some different ideas on how he can get the raw materials out
Sure.
without being quite as destructive. We'll see if any of that stuff pans out. We talked about some of the patents that he's filed to get some of those processes to get the raw materials for batteries in particular. So it might take some creative thinking, and in terms, if they want to keep going that way, of course, unless they want to make addendums to the rules that say, okay, we actually can't fulfill this by 2 years from now. We're going to move it out more. We're going to move it out a few years, or we're going to say, okay, no, actually, 85% is as best we can do for now. I don't know.
Yeah, for now, answer.
Because
sure.
I mean, the same old things kind of think, some of the things that other mentioned as well. Like you can't go completely electric, probably. There's some things. I mean, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, mining equipment or offshore equipment or some of the things that are just inherently petrol powered.
Yeah.
Laying cable or installing batteries of the capacity you need or whatever it might be. There's just some big hurdles to some of those to make everything electric, right?
Air travel for one.
So I mean, I don't know. There's some big hurdles still. So
here's my other concern, right? My other concern is, and I'm sure I'm going to get dogged in comments below because when people watch this, they'll be like, how nearsighted. But the difference is, what are the things that we don't know today that we're doing in the environmental expertise of trying to get everything be electric that we don't know might be doing damage in the future to basically the climatology of the planet? Look, I'm only going to open this up for a discussion as to basically say there are many different theories as to what greenhouse gases and other climatology things or is happening to the planet. Okay, which any one of them you can subscribe to. The point of it is one of them or all of them could still all be proven or disproven at some point as we get further down the road of learning things about this planet and how it interacts. Right. So I just throw that out there as a caveat of saying, I hope we don't turn around and make a decisive decision because basically as oil burning became, the phenomenal thing in the 1920s, no one was thinking so much about, the climatology of the planet. But I'm sure there's things out there that we're still yet to learn about what other things we're doing today that could still be improved upon tomorrow. Right.
Yep. I don't have anything to add to that.
Yeah, it's just it's basically one of those things that goes through my mind. Is like, hey, there's always what you don't know that you didn't know that you're going to turn around and go one day and go, oh God, we built how many millions of electric cars and we wasted how many resources because we did it wrong and we could have done it so much better and saved ourselves a lot of heartache. So that's that. Anyhow, Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. If New York State, California, and the other countries that are stepping forward and saying that they can produce all these vehicles can do it. Let us know if you think the appetite's going to develop for the EVs, and let us know if you think the manufacturers who will also put in similar expectations for their product lines in the not too distant future to comply with laws like this. See if they can all do it and if it can work, and what kind of investment money you think it's going to take to get us there, because I think that's more important as part of the discussion. So let us know what you think. There's that. That's all I got.
Well, we could just hope that super powerful magnet that MIT just came up with for fusion power plants will work out, and then fusion will be a thing, and we can stop talking about energy.
Which one?
We can talk about that later.
You didn't share that one. Okay, see,
I'm not a part of the show.
Okay, I'm going to strike that from the conversation because you didn't even share it with me. So how was I supposed to? Which magnet was this?
I'll send you the article.
Oh, now you're going to send me the article. So James has got a comment in there. Maybe they're making these goals knowing that we won't make them, just to try and drive people to come up with new technologies for batteries and other things. Perfectly valid. I mean, there's some weight to that. Sometimes innovation is driven by legislation and those that follow, or they don't have the opportunity, to just have to make up new answers. So there you go.
There you go.
Okay. I'm good.
I'm good too.
Okay. There's that. We enjoyed sharing the launch with you guys, and that was fantastic. And we got other stuff planned in the not too distant future. But with that part said, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for the comments, James. We got stuff to look forward to from you guys. So we'll try to see if we can get some of that content together, because there's been a lot of comments on some of the other videos, that stuff that we want to explore. Corey's going to share with me some new stuff about these batteries that I don't know about.
Okay.
Clearly, I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'm sure he's going to share it with me. And
yeah,
and look forward to the edits. Well, I love it. You're like, what about this new battery? Blah blah blah. And I'm like, crickets. There was a little cricket.
It's a new magnet. Yeah, but that's
no matter what it was. There was a little cricket in the back of my head going cricket, cricket, cricket.
True,
I'm
true.
going.
Wait, I don't know that yet.
I don't have that yet. It's like I'm sitting here in the blind and I don't know what you're talking about. So, awesome. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in. We'll check with you real soon. Take care. Have a great day.
Yeah. Take it easy.
Peace. Bye.
Bye.
Don't pull a Corey.
Well, I mean, we're just talking about energy problems.
I know.
And just the first thing that came to mind. I had read this thing about a magnet.
You usually share that stuff with me no matter what. And this time I know you didn't.
But no, I hadn't.
Yeah, I got it.
I didn't think. Well, with our 4 things today, it wasn't really fitting anywhere in particular. So.
Right. All right. Well, thanks everybody. We appreciate your time.
Take it easy.
Take care. Thanks for the comments. We'll check you guys real soon. Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
See ya.